You either die the hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. That, or you slowly fade into obscurity as newer, shinier heroes come along to replace you, all while your fans grumble about the good old days until even their memories fade and you are forgotten forever. But not today! We here at TripleJump still remember you, and we're here to sing your praises, albeit one last time. Our last forgotten video game heroes list shone the light on a good number of underrated and overlooked protagonists, but based on the comments section, there were still plenty more out there who deserve to be remembered. They might not be your eternally beloved Marios or Master Chiefs, but they deserve better than to be left in the past. These heroes have something special, something that's missing from gaming's current forerunners, and by golly, they deserve another turn in the spotlight. I'm the oft-forgotten Peter from TripleJump, and here are 10 more forgotten video game heroes who deserve a comeback. Number 10. Sheva Alomar, Resident Evil 5. The Resident Evil series has more characters than a Dickens novel, more over-the-top dastardly villains too, and a surprising number of them only appear in a single game. Ashley Graham, Billy Cohen, and Carlos Oliveira, among many others, all could have made this list, but we've decided to go for the often overlooked Sheva Alomar. While Resident Evil 5 was far from perfect, and its drift away from survival horror and into action and absurdity angered long-time fans, it had its moments. The first assault in a village overrun by Ouroboros is a trouser-wettingly standout scene. It also had Sheva, a cunning and capable member of the BSAA, partnered with Chris Redfield, not only because she knew the local area, but because her skills in combat and proficiency in firearms were on par with his. Having witnessed the Umbrella Corporation's destruction and disregard for human life firsthand, Sheva is well suited to taking them down. But she's also optimistic and sees the good in the world. Terrible AI likely put most players off Sheva when they first played Resident Evil 5, but that was hardly her fault, was it? With the success of their recent remakes, it seems like it's only a matter of time before Capcom remakes this one too. And when they do, here's hoping Sheva is standing front and center, shotgun at the ready. Number 9. Aya Brea, Parasite Eve. When a game starts with a theatre full of people spontaneously combusting in the middle of an opera, you know you're in for a good time. A weird time, granted, but a good one. Based on and envisioned as a sequel to the book of the same name, Parasite Eve sees a world on the brink of destruction as mutations in mitochondria lead to monsters, psychic powers, and a woman hell-bent on becoming the ultimate being. Players take control of Aya Brea, a headstrong NYPD detective whose work ethic and competency quickly saw her rise through the ranks. Oh, and she also has superpowers thanks to her mutated mitochondria and her contact with the mitochondrial Eve. While she struggles to control these powers and often compares herself to the monsters she fights, they grant her the ability to telepathically dispatch the mutated aberrations that threaten the world, as well as heal herself to the point of immortality. Aya is a complex character with a lot going on both internally and externally, and while her story appears to have been wrapped up, the world needs more badass telepathic heroines like her to keep it safe. And we think another game certainly wouldn't go amiss. Number 8. Gex, the Gex series. It has been almost 25 years since the smart-mouthed, television-obsessed, walking parody of pop culture gecko known as Gex last graced our screens. He certainly had his time at the top, even temporarily becoming Crystal Dynamics' official mascot, but he just couldn't keep up with the likes of Mario and Sonic, and his planned fourth game was canned due to lack of interest. Gex is an anthropomorphic gecko who, despite starting the series as a literal lounge lizard, sitting on his backside gorging on snacks and binge-watching TV in Maui, Hawaii, goes on to first take down a supervillain from the media dimension and then begin his tenure as a super spy extraordinaire. We think an older, grouchier, but none the wiser Gex hopping through different genres, all the while complaining about games these days whilst parodying every film that's come out in the last 2.5 decades, might just be what the world needs right now. While a remastered trilogy is meant to be in the works from limited-run games, a new and improved, less 90s version of the light-hearted lizard with more up-to-date pop culture references and fewer Playboy models would likely be welcomed by the gaming community, especially one which leant hard into the meta humour along the lines of the Stanley Parable or the South Park games. Number 7. Eddie Riggs, Brutal Legend. A game by Tim Schafer, the mind behind Grim Fandango and Psychonauts, set in a world like a heavy metal album cover brought to life, envisioned as an homage to the very best metal bangers, starring various real-world heavy metal legends and Jack Black himself as the main protagonist, Brutal Legend should have been Game of the Year, hands down. It's a shame then that what was marketed as a hack-and-slash action-adventure turned out to be a real-time strategy game, a bait and switch that put many players off ever even pressing start. However, the game was still fun, and Eddie Riggs, its star, was fantastic. Eddie, or the world's best roadie for the world's worst heavy metal band, finds himself waking up in a heavy metal world after being crushed by some falling stage scenery. There, he builds a hot rod car called the Juice, joins a group of human freedom fighters, and leads them to victory over the demons who enslaved them, all to the tune of some killer guitar riffs. Eddie is full of that signature Jack Black energy, always ready with a quip and down for a good time, but able to take things seriously when he has to, and brave enough to save the world. He deserves another chance to shine. Number 6. Grayson Hunt, Bulletstorm. Another cult classic that could have done with a sequel to stretch its wings and really show the world what it was capable of, Bulletstorm is a no-holds-barred, over-the-top, blood-splattered shooter that revels in its non-stop action and gore. The game puts players into the low-life launching boots of Grayson Hunt and sees them battling their way across the backwater planet of Stygia, racking up points for offing enemies in the most stylish, read brutal, ways possible. Grayson Hunt, former Black Ops leader turned drunken space pirate, is not a particularly nuanced character. Sure, he has his troubled past, his loose moral lines he refuses to cross, and his loyalty to friends, but what he's mainly about is shooting people's heads off with spikes and kicking their corpses onto cacti. Between his loud mouth, abrasive attitude, and penchant for some very creative swears, he certainly isn't everyone's cup of tea, but his devil-may-care attitude in the face of danger and the pure joy he gets from creatively dismembering his foes is contagious. A sequel that eschews the modern trend of reinventing action heroes as three-dimensional and multifaceted, which has its place, admittedly, is just what the Doctor ordered. All it needs is a few more toys and creative kills to keep this murder spree feeling fresh. Number 5. Kate Archer, No One Lives Forever. The hero of this entry is about as far from the previous one as you could get. The No One Lives Forever games are 60s-inspired globe-trotting spy capers in which players slip into the stylish shoes of one Kate Archer as she attempts to save humanity from narcissistic megalomaniacs bent on world domination. Unity Special Agent Kate Archer, codenamed the Fox, may share some similarities with a certain well-known super spy, such as being an orphan who grew up in Scotland, her headstrong stubbornness, cunning intelligence, stylish sense of fashion, and predilection for high-tech gadgets, but she does stand out as her own distinct character. And when I say stand out, I really mean it. yet, her uniquely 60s psychedelic fashion won't exactly help her to blend in. It's a good thing then that she's an expert in both shooting and stealth. Unfortunately, the IP rights here are a little up in the air right now, with a number of publishers potentially owning shared or partial rights to the series, so a sequel may be out of the question anytime soon. Still, other series have found a way out of this type of situation in the past, so there is still hope, and if anyone can squeeze their way out of a tight situation and look suave and stylish while doing it, it's absolutely Kate Archer. Number 4. Regina, Dino Crisis. When they weren't reinventing the survival horror scene with Resident Evil, Capcom were showing gamers just how scary dinosaurs could be in Dino Crisis. The series had everything: killer dinosaurs loose on a tropical island, corporate cover-ups, rips in the space-time continuum, and a spandex-wearing squad of special agents sent in to sort it all out. It should really be on its 12th game by now. Of these special agents, Regina stands out as the most memorable. As the weapons specialist, she's not only a dab hand when it comes to Glocks and grenade launchers, but is also capable of quick thinking and taking charge when things invariably go to pot. Of course they do, what did you expect with dinosaurs? While the first 2 games garnered heaps of praise, the third fell flat. Funnily enough, that's the game that Regina sat out, and if that doesn't prove the series needs her to survive, I don't know what will. Fans have been crying out for a new Dino Crisis game for years now, be that a remake in the vein of Resident Evils 2, 3, and 4, or a brand new entry. Either option would allow original director Shinji Mikami's vision of truly intelligent and truly fearsome dinosaurs to be fully realized. We're not fussy, to be honest, as long as Regina is the one leading the charge, once again, shotgun in hand. Number 3. Gabriel Logan, Siphon Filter. There have been an impressive 6 entries into the Siphon Filter franchise, most of which starred Gabriel "Gabe" Logan as the main protagonist. However, the last one came out in 2007, and that means it's been almost 2 decades since we last saw the man's gruff, grimacing face and skin-tight black bodysuit, and that's far too long. While more of an action game than its contemporaries Splinter Cell and Metal Gear Solid, Siphon Filter had its stealthy moments, fitting for a former soldier turned covert operative turned agency head. Of course, when stealth fails, he is lethal in both close quarters combat and with a gun in his hand. But while he's a capable agent and intelligent problem solver, he does have a weak spot for women, often trusting them too quickly, leading to inevitable betrayals and compromises. Seeing as Gabe was canonically 43 years old in his last game, he'd likely be getting on a bit in a game set in the modern day. That being said, a world-ending terror threat that brings the old action hero back out of retirement for one last mission could be something truly special, if a little cliched. They could even pull a God of War and have Gabe confront his violent past while training the next generation of covert special agent on the job. Either that or a remake, I guess. I mean, we'd rather see something new, but it seems like that's the only way developers will risk bringing back old heroes these days. Number 2. Wei Shen, Sleeping Dogs. It's always a great shame when a critically and commercially successful game fails to get a sequel, especially a game that stars a protagonist as capable, charismatic, and kick-ass as Wei Shen. Sleeping Dogs is like a mix between GTA's open-world exploration and crime narrative and Arkham City's flashy, brutal combat. Playing as police officer Wei Shen, players are tasked with going undercover to infiltrate and take down the infamous Triads. And he certainly is the man for the job, with killer intellect to quickly assess any situation, killer maneuvers behind the wheel, killer skills with any type of gun, and the killer ability to turn literally anything into a weapon. But going undercover can take its toll, with Shen having to do some truly horrible things to maintain his ruse, so it's a good thing he's moral, to a point, and loyal to upholding the law. The proposed sequel was said to be incredibly ambitious, allowing Wei Shen to arrest any NPC in the the city, alter the course of the story through branching choices, and even allow a friend to manage police responses via a real-life mobile app. To be honest, we think that sounds pretty great. Possibly a bit too much to pull off well in 2013, but with today's technology, sounds pretty doable. So there's still hope, right? This man deserves his own series. And number 1, Raziel, Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver. Now here's your archetypical tragic hero. Soul Reaver's Raziel started life as a brave vampire hunter, yet after he fell, he was raised from the dead by Kain and made into a vampire himself, as well as a lieutenant in Kain's unholy army, a job Raziel excelled at. He did so well, in fact, that Kain became jealous, well, of that and also the lovely pair of wings he grew one day, and had him killed for a second time. This was still not the end of his story, though. In fact, it was just the beginning. After his second death, Raziel was resurrected by an all-powerful elder god and embarked on a quest to stop Kain once and for all. And all that is just the first game. The second includes soul-possessed swords and time travel, and the third involves the repercussions of altering history and champions battling for the future of reality. Old Raziel has certainly gone through a lot, and this in part contributes to why he is so truly beloved by fans. Also the fact that he's just plain cool. I mean, look at him. It seems a shame then that there hasn't been another chapter in this series in almost 20 years. Raziel's story may have come full circle in the third game, but there's always more misery to be inflicted on the poor soul, right? A shiny new game propelling Raziel and Kain into the current generation, once again tampering with time and fate, would surely have real bite. Or soul, whatever ending joke you would prefer out of those two. I'll let you decide.